My name is Jay Hurst. And today we're going to talk about Force.com Canvas and some of the new authentication methods and app methods that we have out there to allow administrators to control your app. I would like to thank everybody for pumping up for an 8:30 session on the last day of Dreamforce. I know it's been a long week, but hopefully it's been a productive week for everybody. How many have seen this before? Nobody? That's weird. So this is our safe harbor statement. What this says is that if you are making any purchasing decisions, please make those decisions based on what is generally available in the product today and not what is forward-looking functionality. Everything we're going to present today, for the most part, I think, is actually GA. If there's anything that isn't, I'll definitely tag that. And if you have any questions about what is pilot and what is GA, just feel free to ask me after. Again, my name is Jay Hurst. I'm a senior product manager with Salesforce.com, specifically on our platform side, and I'm the PM for Canvas. With me, we have Carrie Hotchkiss, one of the senior quality engineers for the Canvas product. So she's been on the team since the start as well, and she really knows how to test it and how to use it. But let's go ahead and kind of set the stage here. So when we built Canvas, the idea, again, is bringing external applications into Salesforce. And what we found was that some administrators were having a little bit of difficulty managing these just because of some of the design decisions that we have with the Connected Apps framework. So kind of by a show of hands, little audience participation in the early morning, how many of you have used a Connected App or a Canvas app in your organization before? Okay, I think you guys are definitely in the right room then. How many have ever actually done the administration management and wished it was a little bit easier? 1, 2, 3. Okay, perfect. So you three are going to be the stars today. And how many would like to learn about Canvas personal apps or have never heard of Canvas personal apps, I guess? Okay, so this is going to be a good session then. So essentially we have a few different types of Canvas apps that are out there. And when I talk about types of Canvas apps, I'm really talking about how the administrator can grant access to certain users. How do users get access to the app? So they kind of fall into a few categories. But really you want to know when you choose which type and why you would choose it. So we have 3 different types that are available. Admin approved, which was our initial default setting. It was the first one we came out with. We introduced user approves with the previous spring release. And with the winter release, we have Canvas personal apps. So each of these types of applications has a different developer experience on the Canvas app side. So the developer has to make a few different programming choices when actually using these types of apps. And the choice determines a few things. What is the end user experience with the approval? Do they see an approval process or do they not? What is the admin experience? Does the admin have to manually accept people into it? Do they let users have that choice to accept themselves into it? And then also, like I said, the developer decision tree. So the developer has to know, is this a personal app? Is this a user-approved app? What should I show to the end user? Do I need to kick them into a different flow? And the key is that a Canvas app can actually support one or more of these types. It can actually support all 3 of the types. So as a developer, we really wanted to give you the ability to support a multitude of admins. So looking at admin-approved applications, again, this was our default first one. And what this means is in order to use a Canvas app, the admin has to install it into their organization. And then they have to go ahead and select which users based on profiles and perm sets can actually use that application. So maybe you want your sales team to have access to the application, but you don't want your marketing team to have access for whatever reason. So you can actually do that. You have a sales profile, a marketing profile. You opt the sales profile in. And what happens from the Canvas side when we do that, when the user actually loads the application, what we do is we look to see, are they approved? If they're not, we immediately fail. We throw them an error saying, you don't have access to this, contact your system administrator. If they do have access, what we do is we say, okay, the admin has granted them access. Let's go ahead and generate the OAuth token and the signed request to send to that Canvas app. So the user experience is that they open the Canvas app, and the Canvas app then receives a signed request all set with the user's information, their client ID, OAuth token, things like that. So the user never actually sees an approval. They never have to accept, yes, I want to use this application, because the admin's already accepted it for them. The second type is user approved. Now the idea here is, again, the admin has installed the application, except instead of having them pre-approve users, maybe you have a large organization, you don't really care which of your users has access to that application, and you want them to opt in when they load it. So rather than having to choose a profile and perm set to associate with the Canvas app, you say, any one of my users who clicks on this app can actually use it. What happens is when the end user goes in and they open it up, the first thing that we do in this case is we look to see, have they ever approved this app? Have they ever granted access? If yes, we go ahead and generate the signed request, just like we did in the admin approve step, and we send it off to the Canvas app. If they haven't, we do a little change, and this is what was new with the spring release. Instead of doing just the standard Canvas post, we'll actually do a GET request to the Canvas URL. And we'll pass in a URL parameter that says, hey, this is a user-approved setting. The users never actually approved this, so Canvas app, you're going to have to kick them into an OAuth flow. And then if the user accepts that flow, we can generate the signed request and move on. If they deny it, we'll block access. So the idea here is that really back to the connected apps route, allowing the end users the ability to accept or deny access to the application. A key thing to note here is that Group Edition and Professional Edition orgs have a really hard time using admin approved because they don't have profiles and permission sets. So you can install the app, but you can't then assign it to users. So this was really the way that we could extend to Group Edition and Professional Edition. And finally, we have Canvas Personal Apps. Now, this is a new feature that came out with Winter 15, and the idea that we had, it was really, our admins love to manage this, and they really want to control it, but there are also times when you want your end users to be able to install their own app. We haven't really had this concept before in Salesforce. It's always been an admin function only, but we wanted to start to break open this use case and then start to play around with what end users can do. So the flow is very similar to the user approved, but the difference is when the user finds the app, maybe they go to a website, and let's take maybe it's a note-taking application and they want to install a personal version of that note-taking application, they would find an approval link similar to what you'd see in an OAuth flow. Very similar to what you would actually see if you were finding a connected app on the web today. Now, when the user accepts into that and they click on the link, what we do in the background is we actually do a metadata install and enable that app access just for that one user. So what that means is the user can use an application, install it, display it on their chatter tab, and then actually begin to use that application without the admin involvement. No other users in the system will see it, and the admin still has full control to block access, remove access, and things like that. But what this gives you the ability to do is start to make apps that can become viral within your own user organization. Maybe you want to do a small set as a partner, you want to build a small bit of functionality, get it out in the hands of everybody for free, and then have the admins upgrade into a paid version, things like that. So this was really an idea to start cracking open that metadata. Now, the admins still have control over this. They can definitely enable or disable this whole feature for the org. So don't be scared that people are just going to start installing apps in your system and you have no control over it. But it is key to note that what this feature does is it brings the Canvas framework up to parity with our connected apps framework. So right now today, and the way it's always been, if an end user finds a connected app in the wild and they want to use it with their system, they can, unless you as an admin has specifically said they cannot do that. So it's a little confusing for people. Sometimes they get a little scared, is I don't want people installing stuff into my org, but they could have done it before. And what this does is this actually gives you a little more control because you can start to say, no, I don't want them to do this, and you can actually physically block it. Now, from the actual technical side, what we do that's a little bit different is when you go ahead and find that application, you install it. Like I said, we go ahead in the background, we install the metadata that is just the Canvas pieces. So let's say I have a full app, and I remember I said the apps could be multiple types. They could be user-approved, admin-approved, or personal. Let's say for my user-approved apps, I have a Canvas app associated with it. I have an Apex class. I have some Visual Force pages in the package, maybe some custom objects, and I package that all up as a full solution. Now, with the Canvas personal app, when they install it, the only thing we actually install is the Canvas metadata. So if you have things that in your Canvas app that rely on the Apex page or a Visual Force page, note that you're not going to get that in the personal app unless the admin installs it. Once the admin installs the app into the org, it's no longer a personal app in that org. It then turns into an admin-approved or a user-approved app. So how do you kind of choose? And this is, obviously, there's a lot more decision than just these 6 or 7 points, but this kind of starts to help you. It really depends on how you want the admin, the user, and the developer experience to be. So for instance, if you want the admin to have to install the Canvas app, your choices are admin approved or user approved. Again, Canvas personal app allows the end user to install. If you want, let's say, the end user to see the approved deny flow and the end user to actually have to opt in, then you'd want to use user approved or Canvas personal apps, and so on and so forth. But the idea really is that we want to give you the ability to choose what works best for your organization, what works best for your Canvas application. So we don't want to artificially block anything. So how do we develop the different application types? This time I'd like to bring up Carrie, and she's going to go through the different flows.
Great. All right, thanks, Jane. Thanks, guys, for being here. I'm going to walk you through one Canvas app, and I'm going to show you the different ways that an admin would configure the app for the different app types and how a developer would add to the app or change it to make sure that it's supported in each different way. So the first one we're going to go through is the admin-approved app. What's going to happen here is every time the user opens the Canvas app, Salesforce is going to take a look and see if the user has access. If the user does not have access, they're going to get an error message, or in the chatter tab, they're not even going to see the app. But if they do have access, Salesforce generates a sign request. This is the context that the app is going to use. It sends the sign request via post to the app receives the post, takes a look at the context, and then displays content based on the context, of course. Again, admin approved is the oldest type of app that we've got, and it's the one that you're going to use as an admin to give yourself a lot more control over who sees the app and who doesn't. All right, I'm going to show you what this looks like now. Here's my app. Oh, that's
real
not
quick.
showing
This
up.
mirror, yeah.
Yeah. Hold on.
Sorry about that. You'd think we would have set this up having done 9,000 of these.
Here we go.
Oh, I can't reach it. It's right down there.
Let's see. Minus, minus.
Oh no. Okay, you're gonna have to.
Oh, that's
There we
fine.
go.
I can do that. The app is not that interesting, I promise.
Success.
All right, there we go. Nice
Give it
job.
up for me. Come on, guys.
Anything for applause, right, Jay?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, here's my app. It's a very standard app that you can build on developer.salesforce.com. There are a lot of tutorials that walk you through something similar to this. I've added a little bit of extra code so I can go through this demo, but again, this is very simple. So, an admin approved. Here I am logged in as an admin user. I've got the invoice app right here. And the reason I'm seeing it is because under Setup, Manage Apps, I've got this permitted users set to admin approved users or pre-authorized. If we take a look at who's pre-authorized, only the system administrator profile is selected right now. If I go to a different user here, this is just my other user, very cleverly named. Look at the chatter tab. I'm not seeing anything. And so because this user type, this is a standard profile, does not have access to this app. To change it, all I need to do is add the profile here. Just add standard user. Save it. I'll go back to my other user here. And now I can use this invoice app, right? It's pretty easy for the administrator to do. If your org has hundreds of profiles or perm sets, this is going to get a lot harder if you just want to say, I want to do it for everybody around. So the next type of app we're going to take a look at see if this works, is the user approved? Now in this case, the system administrator can decide if the app supports it, and that's important for you guys to remember. The app needs to support a user-approved flow because the app is going to kick the user into that OAuth flow again, and it's also going to receive a GET instead of a POST. So if your app is not expecting that, some strange things could happen. So I would really recommend coding to that anyway. Just code to accepting a GET from Salesforce, just in case someone decides to install it that way. So what's going to happen in this case is if the user has not approved the app yet, Salesforce is going to see that there's not a refresh token for that user. And Salesforce is going to send a GET instead of a POST. And this GET is going to have a specific parameter that the Canvas app should be looking for. The parameter is _SFDC_Canvas_auth. It's just a parameter that lets you know that this user has not been granted, has not approved the app yet. So when the Canvas app sees that, probably going to want to show a view and allow the user to run through the OAuth flow themselves. Once the user approves the app, it's a great idea to repost. So repost will give you a new signed request and refresh the app, so you can show something different to the user after they've approved the app. Again, if you have already approved the app, Salesforce is going to send a post with a sign request just like they would with the normal admin approved flow. Okay? I will show you what that looks like. All right, as an admin in my org, I'm just going to change my invoice app. Edit it. Set it to all users may self-authorize.
Now, it's actually key to note here, when you first install an app from the App Exchange or you install it into a new org, users can self-authorize. That's the default setting. And that's why Carrie said it's a good idea to support the GET regardless, because if you install the app and then don't change the setting, your users are going to see it, and if they open that app, the first thing you need to do as a Canvas app is actually support the GET. So it's really key to either make sure you change this right away to admin approved, or make sure your app supports users can be self-authorized and support that GET parameter. Again, once your app is in the wild, you don't have control over what the end users or the end admins do with it. They can install it and put it wherever they want at that point because it's their org. So it's up to your app to really support those locations, support the different app types, and render the correct message back to the end user.
Yeah, that's a really good point. If you already accept a GET but you don't know what to do with the parameter there, there's a possibility that users are going to see the app without the context that they'd be looking for. All right, so I've installed this connected app. If I go in as the other user here. Now if I go to the invoice app, I see something different. So my app has been coded. When it receives the GET with that parameter, I ask the user to go through an approval flow first. I hit approve. This is just the standard Salesforce OAuth flow. Click allow. Once it gets through, it does a repost. The repost sends a sign request, and I see what I'm expecting there. If we take a look at the code in this app, again, this is just a Spring app. It's something that is pretty easy to build if you go through the tutorial. And it starts with this order UI controller. You can see here, I've got a post that I've coded, and I also have this GET down here. My GET is looking for this parameter, the SFDC canvas _OAuth, or _auth. And if it finds it, it kicks it to the user approval flow page. If not, you're going to see just the standard GET page right here, right? If we look at the user approval page, there are two important things that happen here. One is if the user is not logged in, we use the SFDC Canvas OAuth login function. And this, again, has been around for a long time for apps that use OAuth as their primary mode of authentication. But this is what you're going to use to approve the flow. The next important part is this repost. This is what's going to happen when the user has approved the flow and wants to refresh the page so you can see what's going on there. Okay?
Now, I have gotten a lot of questions about, OAuth, signed requests, which do I use, what's the best way to manage that? And in reality, we're kind of doing a little trickery on you guys. So the signed request flow is still an OAuth flow, but the difference is we do it completely server-side. So rather than having the end user actually have to click through the approve deny because the admin's already done that, or if the user's done that step before, we go ahead and just generate the token on our side, deliver it directly to you, which prevents the token exchange, which if you've ever done OAuth can be a 2 to 3 step process and redirecting and opening windows. So the idea is to create as seamless a flow for the end user as possible. So when you ever think, oh, should I use OAuth, should I use signed request? Really, you're always using OAuth. The difference becomes, do you want to manage the OAuth or do you want Salesforce to manage the OAuth? So signed request is our default and our recommended pattern just because it's a little easier, it's a little less chatty between the systems.
Yep, definitely. All right, let's go to the last type of app here. This is the Canvas personal app. Let's say the app that we've developed as a Canvas developer, we want it to go viral. We want to have people install it without using the admin, just like Jay said. So we're going to put the app link on our website and let people install it themselves. We're going to need to do a little bit of code change on the Canvas app side, to kick someone through an approval flow. And admins on their side are going to need to approve this as a personal app. As a Canvas app developer, we're also going to need to change just a tiny bit of configuration on the Salesforce side to enable it as a personal app. If the app isn't installed in someone's org, they'll be given the OAuth flow, and it will be installed under the covers that way. If it is already installed by another user, say, then it's just approved for that user, so it's a little bit quicker. We only support the chatter tab right now for personal apps, so this is the only place where someone's going to see it. It makes more sense since we wouldn't want to add it to a Visualforce page or a page layout right now. And what's going to happen, you are going to get a post on this one. There's not a get for this guy, okay? So if we take a look there, I'm going to use my original Canvas app. And in this case, I'm going to go to where I created it. Okay, this app is in this org. Edit it. And we've added this new selection down here called Enable as a Canvas Personal App. Now, I've already done this, so you do have to add this Canvas app to a managed package. It's not, when you do install it as a Canvas personal app, it's not going to install the entire package. It's just going to install that piece. But for packaging purposes, we do need to add it to a managed package. And I'll show you the managed package. I already did this because it's extremely boring during a demo to watch someone add something to a managed package, but you know that you do need to do that part. So enable as a Canvas app is there. Just cancel out of that. Again, here's my package, managed KLH, and my demo app is just in that package. It's the only thing in there right now. You could add other things if eventually you want someone to install the entire package, but for now, I just have the Canvas app there. So I'm going to publicize that you can install this app. So I put it on the front page of my website. I am not a website designer, so it's all black and white at the moment, and there's a link for the personal app. This is just an OAuth link. I would tell you exactly what the link looks like, but it's very long and it's in the slides.
And you would have seen this before if you've ever done the OAuth flow,
Yes.
right? So if you've ever done OAuth with Salesforce, this is the exact same flow. We're not doing anything different on the development side for you on the link. But what we do differently is that once we detect that it's a Canvas personal app, when you click allow, that's when we do the Canvas pieces in the background.
Yeah. So I'm actually logged in as a different org here. This is just something similar. Again, I don't have any Canvas apps yet. But when I run through this flow, say allow, this is again my app doing the work. It says thank you for installing. Please go to your chatter tab. Occasionally this takes a little while, occasionally not. So we'll take a look at the code while that's installing.
And what we do actually is we do that install in the background as an asynchronous install, just like you would when you install a regular package. When you install the package from the AppExchange, you don't get it right away. Sometimes it can take a little while to do the install. So once the install is finished, the end user will get an email saying, hey, your app has been installed.
Yeah. And I could show my email, but I don't think you guys want to see anything about my son's football team this weekend, so we'll just leave that out. So what the code of the actual Canvas app does, again, the Canvas app is going to receive a post. And in this case, I want to know if this is an installed personal app, because I want it to look a little bit different. So we've added that piece to the context. So I'm going to decode the context. This, again, is very standard to any Canvas app. I'm going to take a look at the app context, and that's where it's going to have this setting, is installed personal app. If this is the case, then I know that it is a personal app. It's a very simple check there. And if it's an installed personal app, I want to show the personal view instead of the other view. Could be something different. In my personal view, it's, again, not a website designer, so it's not very attractive, but I do have a link on there to post to Chatter, the link for the personal app, so other users in my org can install it. Let's see if that's done. Yep. So here's my personal app. Again, there's just a button here saying share this personal app. It could be whatever you want it to be. I post a link to my own feed saying, hey, here's my favorite Canvas app. Everybody else install it. And it gives the link so someone else can go through the flow as well.
Now, again, as Carrie mentioned, if another user who is following you sees this app and they're like, hey, I want to install this great personal app as well, and they click that link, they'll go through the approval flow, but rather than having to reinstall the application, it's already installed into the org, so all we do at that point is grant that specific user access. So we're not continuously reinstalling and installing. It's just really install once, and then you're allowing specific users to access it.
Yep, exactly. When that app is installed, an admin can go in and manage it, just like any other Canvas app. Here it is, showing there. You can uninstall it if you decide you don't want people to use that app, or if you don't want a specific user to use that app. You can go into the auth settings, and you can revoke the tokens. That's how that works right there. You can also take a look at the settings, and you can change this setting. If I edit it and I say, you know what, I don't want anybody to install these in my org, just turn it off. Save. Go back to Chatter. It's gone. It doesn't appear anymore. So the admin does have some control over there. Also, with that managed package that I showed you earlier, the admin can install the whole thing and then start managing users that way, and that overrides any access that any previous users have already done. Okay? So I've showed the personal apps. I've showed all three ways, so I'm going to give it back to Jay, and he can wrap this up.
Thanks, Carrie.
Sure.
So one of the other things I wanted to mention about the personal apps, I don't have a slide for it here, but kind of what we're looking at doing next, and this is future-looking for functionality, so please take that under the safe harbor. But the idea that we really wanted to kick off, we started in the web interface, but we really want to enable this for Salesforce One. Because think of the power then, as a partner or as a developer, you can build an application and get it out to the community so they can install it on their phone and leverage it within their Salesforce One apps without having the admin have to manage all of it. Again, the admins definitely still have that control. It's very easy for them to disable this functionality or revoke access like Carrie showed. But the real idea is we want to empower our user community to start to use applications and start to think about them in a different way. Applications don't have to be these huge things that completely change the landscape of your org. They can be little small pieces of functionality that ultimately help users get their job done, which is what we want. So what did we learn today? We learned about the different types of Canvas apps. We have the admin approved, user approved, and personal apps. We kind of saw what the differences are. Carrie showed some great code examples of how you as a developer would actually pivot and determine when to display and how to run these. And she showed the great demo app that we saw. Great in the fact that it shows the functionality and not necessarily on Carrie's wonderful web skills, which are, granted, 10 times better than my web design skills. So, with that, I'd like to open it up to Q&A. I'd like to thank everybody again for sticking with us early in the morning. But if you have any questions, please feel free to come up. There's 2 microphones in the center of the aisle, and we'll answer any questions you have. Thank you. If you do have some overriding desire just to learn more about Canvas, we do have a few more sessions going on. At 9:30, myself and Chris Jolly, our lead developer, will go over seamless authentication with Canvas and how you can start to unlock logging into your systems and leveraging SAML with Salesforce. We have some really great cross-org visual force examples there. Definitely encourage you to attend if you can. We also have a partner just demonstrating Canvas and Node.js. And this afternoon, I'll be with another partner, SalesWay. SalesWay is discussing Canvas on the S1 platform and how to develop responsive apps for Canvas in the mobile world. Also, feel free to pick up our integration workbook in the Dev Zone, visit our Canvas developer page, or email and tweet me. And the last thing, we definitely have been recording every Dreamforce session this year, both Canvas and non-Canvas, although I definitely encourage you to view the Canvas ones. They should all be uploaded a few weeks after the end of the Dreamforce week, so feel free to check those out as well and see everything you missed. So with that, if there are no questions, I'll give you guys back 4 minutes of your lives and hopefully get you to the next session in time. But if you do have questions, feel free to stick around and we can answer those as well. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.